everyone, and welcome back. This is part 2 in my 3-part series on the Super League preseason rankings for the Alliance Conquest Season 7. Before we get into it though, I wanted to give a quick disclaimer, and that's that these rankings are not my personal rankings, nor are there any other one individual's rankings. Rather, they are a compilation of many different chroniclers from big alliances, small alliances, new kingdoms, old kingdoms. All of us have come together to make this master list, and I hope you enjoy it. Alright, coming in at 10th we have MadMatt. MadMatt is of course led by Vilmaris, or priorly named Aegana. MadMatt is a 51 billion alliance, and that puts them at the 17th spot overall. But this power is pretty deceptive. As you can see here, they're ranked 10th, so much higher than their actual power would be. And I think this really makes a lot of sense. If you've ever seen MadMatt fight, they have really creative strategy, they're very clever, but also they have very, very strong leads that are much stronger than their power may show. Just by looking at their rankings, it doesn't really show this, but GSW, Teal'c, a lot of their members have intentionally deflated their power so that they're not going to be as expensive when they move kingdoms to go on merit hunts or other fights. As such, this alliance is much stronger than their power and probably pretty appropriately placed at 10th. Next up, we have our 9th ranked team, and that is going to be none other than KAC. KAC kind of came out of the middle of nowhere last season. They were actually in the B League before that, and then last season they did extremely well. It took a lot of people by surprise, and a lot of it was due to the very, very impressive set of very strong top accounts that they have. This is a very top-heavy alliance that's still on the newer side, but because they have those really strong whales at the top, they were able to be very effective, and that soloing was really good for them. I don't know how exactly it's going to play out now that they have slightly modified exactly how the AC mechanics are going to work. I actually anticipate this is going to probably be harder for KAC, but they're still ranked 9th here because this is a really strong alliance with a lot of people that are willing to spend, whether it's for heals, speed ups, or just to make their accounts a little bit stronger. This is definitely an alliance to watch. They have a lot of alts from really strong members, and you can just expect that this is going to be a very, very tough alliance to beat, and probably one of the top contenders. Next up, in the 8th spot, we have none other than FDH. FDH is a very interesting alliance. This is an alliance that is spread out over many, many kingdoms, as we're going to start to see as a popular pattern for some of these top alliances. But FDH is very, very strong. They have a number of different people who have taken and held CCS castles practically by themselves. This is just an alliance with a lot of really, really strong members right up at the top for them. And a lot of the issues that they've had in the past have been frankly surprising. They've really not quite performed as strong as their power is. At 66 billion, this is the 6th ranked alliance, but here they're only placed in the 8th spot. I do think, again, this is due to that past performance. For whatever reason, they just seem to have struggled in the past couple of AC seasons. They didn't even make it to UC last time, but they've been recruiting. They've added someone like Odin to an already very impressive lineup. I think this is definitely a very, very tough alliance to beat. And I honestly think this is actually probably a little bit lower than they realistically could be if they can kind of pull it all together and be the alliance that a lot of people expect that they might be able to be. But moving right along, next we have our 7th place alliance. That is RUI Russian. Now, RUI has moved up in our rankings recently. They are now a 65 billion alliance, placing them at 7th overall and 7th on our list. I think this is a really fascinating alliance because it is about as top-heavy as they come. When you have a member like Bizaming, who has, as we're about to see, 12 billion power just by himself, you start to get an idea of how crazy strong this one account can be. He's also recently added some new accounts that were sold, like Kynaston and the Orange. The orange was the old Drogon account, but those are two really powerful rally leads they are adding to that alliance now. I think that in general, this alliance is going to be an interesting test of that new rule to the AC where the solos act a little bit differently and essentially more troops can defend. I think that this is actually going to benefit them. I think they're going to do better because of this, because I think it's going to mean that Baizimin, who's willing to spend as many resources as he needs to win, is going to be able to really pour more of his troops in, or really going to kick out more of the enemy's troops in exchange for more of his troops getting hurt, which I think he probably doesn't mind. So I think this is going to end up helping them, and I'm intrigued to see how they do. I think facing RUI is unlike any other opponent you can really face, and the strategies to beat them are going to be a little bit unique. They're definitely going to be a tough one to beat and not one that you want to see. But finally, we have our 6th place team, the last one we'll be discussing today, and that is BDR. Now BDR is of course the remnants of the old TNR alliance, as along with the BDL, which was the old alt alliance or secondary sister alliance to BCL. And this combined alliance made a very tremendous run last year. They're very, very strong. Got a lot of strong accounts. They did lose Odin, but they've kind of gained Burgle. So they kind of are swapping out some of their strong accounts right now, but they're right now ranked at the 11th strongest alliance in the entire world, but they are ranked much higher at 7th on this list. And I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that this is another alliance that is really smart. They are really, really good and have strong strategy. They have the leads to make it happen, they have the troops to make it happen, and they have the know-how to be a really elite alliance. I think something like a BDR versus RUI match would be really fascinating to see, because it would be this question of strategy and kind of even distributed power over a top-heavy single whale type of alliance. And I'm not sure which would win. Obviously BDR is the one that is ranked higher right now, but I think that would be a fascinating match. Again, looking at BDR's members, they have a lot of strength here. They are not a weak alliance by any means of the imagination. They have plenty of strong members, and they are definitely not to be trifled with. Again, I think that this 6th place spot, some people may think they deserve to be higher, some people think they may think they deserve to be lower, but this is where they ended up, and I do think that there is credit where credit's due. They had a very strong performance at last UC, and that's worth something. That's got to be worth something, so I think I'm definitely intrigued to see how they end up doing. But that's going to round out our video for today. Please stay tuned. Our final 5 will be released tomorrow. See you then.